Any addict is deeply suffused with shame ever before they become an addict. Shame is one of the outcomes of trauma. Trauma infuses a shame-based view of oneself. There's something fundamentally wrong with me, which feels terrible. Addiction is one way to temporarily escape the shame, because then when you get that hit of dopamine, in that moment, you feel very alive and valid, and there's no sense of shame at that moment. But then, immediately afterwards, the shame's going to come back in. So, in a one sense, addictions are a temporary efforts to escape from shame, which then create more shame. But the addict thinks that they're ashamed of themselves because of the addiction. They were ashamed of themselves long before the addiction. That's the whole point.
Almost 30 years inside this mind, and the map is finally visible. Not because I solved anything, but because after enough damage patterns stop hiding. I was a child already trying to understand rooms that never explained themselves, learning tension before safety, watching people carefully because when answers are missing, the brain becomes an observer. So I left early, believing the world would explain the parts that home never did. For years, I tried to build myself from fragments of other people, watching how they spoke, how they stood in their own skin, how they laughed without measuring every sentence. I thought identity could be assembled by collecting the right behaviors. But copying people slowly makes the nervous system revolt.
In this culture, there's a genocide of authenticity. Everybody's programmed to be inauthentic. As we've been talking about, that carries its impact on the mind, on the body, on our relationships, on our life satisfaction, and everything else. And so that's really the task is to become authentic.
The further I moved from myself, the louder the anxiety became. Anger appeared where confusion used to live. Restlessness replaced curiosity. Instead of stopping, I kept pushing. New cities, new jobs, new versions of myself I thought might finally work. But the mind travels with the body. Every place still contained the same architecture inside my skull.
Frustration is the engine of aggression. So that person who erupts in aggression is frustrated, deeply frustrated. When are we frustrated? When our needs are not met. So the angry adult was a frustrated child whose needs were not met. And who probably didn't have the freedom to express their anger as children. So they had to suppress it.
Books gave me language. Ideas gave me explanations. But explanation is not discipline. Understanding something does not mean you control it. So when the pressure grew loud enough, I reached for the simplest regulators: alcohol, smoke. At first, they felt like tools to quiet a mind that never learned how to rest. But habits don't stay neutral. They slowly shape the person using them. And the version of me appearing in front of people was not the one I believed I was becoming. Pride arrived quietly. Ego followed behind it. Sometimes reactions turned into storms, strong enough that people who once stood close had to step away.
People always meet at the same level of emotional development or trauma resolution, so that water finding its own level. But when one person starts growing and the other doesn't, it becomes impossible. Either the person that does the growing gives it up and goes back to their previous selves, which is almost impossible, or the other person is challenged to start growing themselves, or they're gonna split. That's just what's gonna happen.
There is a certain silence that follows moments like that. The silence where pretending becomes impossible. where apologies start sounding repetitive even inside your own head, because eventually sorry loses meaning when behavior stays the same. And that is the part nobody likes to admit. Awareness is easy. Consequences make you aware whether you want to be or not. But awareness alone does not build discipline. You can understand every pattern in your life and still repeat it tomorrow.
The addiction wasn't your problem. Your addiction was your attempt to solve a problem. And the real question is, how did that problem develop? How come it's 7 billion human beings in the world you felt lonely? How come you lacked a sense of agency, control, authority in your life? Why were you in so much emotional pain? And everything you've said, the loneliness, the lack of power, the lack of control, the anxiety, these are forms of emotional pain. So my mantra around addiction is not why the addiction, but why the pain.
Now I archive everything, the mistakes, the nights without sleep, the dreams that wake the body in sweat, replaying moments the mind refuses to forget. The map is clear. I see the child trying to survive, the teenager trying to rebel, the adult trying to force change with pressure and pride. And I also see something harder, the moment when the explanation stops helping, where the only thing left is will.
That's one of the impacts of trauma, is that shame-based view of the self, that people start blaming themselves, that somehow you invited it or deserved it or you didn't fight back hard enough, or which if you didn't was also self-protection. The healing needs to begin with some compassionate curiosity towards the self, not why, but why. It's a totally different conversation.